All right, another arm wrestling workout. So today is going to be side table press. There's going to be 2 exercises on the table for this workout. Shoulder press and flop press. Obviously going to warm up to start. Cup, rise, pronation, supination. Of course, the finishing routine after the table workout. And I've got a new addition to the finishing routine today as well that I'm pretty excited to get into. 20 pounds on the pulley. Let's get started. So these are going to be the attachments that I use during today's workout. I'm going to be using the plastic D handle during my warm-up, and I'm going to be using this steel D handle for the actual press exercises, and I'm also going to be using a fat grip as well. Once again, all equipment, all attachments that I use over the course of these workouts is in a link in the description if you're curious. Alright, so starting off with some cupping, as many reps as I can, just trying to warm up the muscles. Forgot to mention the strap earlier. Going to be using that next for some rising. Next, I'll get into the pronation. And now to finish off the warm-up, some supination. Alright, so that's it. Fully warmed up, and it's time to get into the pressing. Okay, so as always, we're starting off with last side table press day's personal record for shoulder press, and that is 45 pounds. Looking for at least 12 clean reps, really focusing on trying to make sure that my wrist stays completely straight, trying to make contact with the pad, and if I can get those 12 clean reps, then we'll move on to set number 2, and I'll bring it up about 2.5 pounds. Let's give it a shot. Time for the left. Now I'm going for the personal record, 47.5 pounds, starting off with the right. Okay. Ooh. That felt a bit heavier than I expected. We're gonna see how the left does. Also, anybody who's watching this, if you want to comment on where exactly this pulley is on this arm, and if you think higher is better or lower is better, I definitely like to know. Today I'm trying to have my press coming almost at a 90-degree angle from where my hand is, but I've done it before with my pulley coming up higher off of the arm, so all the tension's coming up more of at an upward angle. I also want to try to place my camera as best as I could perfectly in front of myself so that I can show that I'm trying to come back before I do my next following rep as straight and as perfectly centered on the table as I can. So this kind of almost doubles as a side pressure exercise as well, because I would say it's harder to hold these 45 pounds at the center before I try for my next rep than it is just doing the rep itself. Let's try the left now for the personal record. Alright, so I'm going to call that a success. That's a personal record. One thing that does bother me is the fact that I can really only set up this pulley on one side or the other of this handle here. I'm going to get the camera so I can give you guys a better idea of what I mean. So this has always been a little bit of an issue. I like to set up this pulley on the side of the table, obviously, but I can only do it on either side of the handle. And sure, I could, dismantle this every time I have to switch from right to left so that the pulley aligns more with my right or aligns more with my left, but I could definitely say that when I did my personal record on the left hand, it felt easier, and I'm assuming it's because I've got my pulley just happens to be mounted on this side of my handle, so it's a little bit more aligned with my left hand when it's on the pad. But for the right, it felt more difficult, and I'm thinking it's because it's coming from an angle. But it would be nice to have some kind of arm that has a pulley, maybe on an extra arm out here so that it can come from one side to another. I don't know if that's something that even exists, but I'd be really interested in having something like that, or maybe even making a modification to this one. I'm not sure. Let me know if any of you guys have a solution for this. Okay, so next up comes the flop wrist press. The nice thing about recording these workouts is that I can actually go back and review the footage. I was just looking back at my personal record for the shoulder press, and I could definitely say that at least on my left side, I was seeing my wrist come back a little bit. And going forward, I'm definitely going to try to work on keeping that straighter. It's nice to actually see that, so that there are things that I can work on there, at least when it comes to shoulder press. Going to move on to the flop wrist now and see how that goes. Personal record from the previous workout was 45 pounds as well. So we're going to try set one, right and left, 45 pounds to begin. Oh. All right, so left side, 45 pounds, flop wrist press. Really trying to make sure that my wrist comes back to completely neutral before I start my next rep. And so, let's see. God, I hope that was 12 reps. I don't know, I lost count. Personal record attempt, flop wrist press, 47.5 pounds. Starting off with the right. That's a fail. I think I probably could have got this if it wasn't for the fatigue catching up. But press day definitely gets me pretty fatigued pretty quick. So that's going to be a fail for the flop wrist press. And I'm officially going to be staying down here between the 45 and 47.5 pound range. But still going to give the left a solid attempt. Well, that's a fail on both the right and left. Safe to say that, at least with the flop wrist, maybe not the shoulder press, this is definitely my main plateau right now, is this 45 pound range. And going forward, it's probably going to be quite a few failures on side table press day until I actually get to that next level. But that's the whole point. And I'm having fun doing it. So with that being said, we got the PR on shoulder press. It's a fail for flop wrist. Table is done, and I'm definitely glad it is, because I'm pretty beat just by 2 exercises. And now it's time to move into the finishing routine, and I'm going to be starting off with a brand new addition to it. So let's get right into that. So recently, I have set myself up a little makeshift pull-up bar. If there's one thing that I've noticed very consistently from watching a lot of elite arm wrestlers on social media or online, I've noticed pretty often that they're extremely good at pull-ups. And I'm going to be honest, I am not a pull-up guy. I can definitely do a few, but I certainly was not interested in any kind of calisthenic stuff growing up. It was all just strictly bodybuilding style weightlifting. I figure since I'm at a pretty light weight right now, I might as well start training pull-ups and start to get strong at it. I do have a very long-term goal when it comes to pull-ups, and it would be to eventually be able to grab onto a spinning D-handle, maybe even with a fat grip on it, and pull myself up into an arm wrestling position with one arm. That's my ultimate goal in terms of pull-ups, and I gotta say I'm extremely far away from that right now. So I'm going to be starting off very simple, very basic. This is going to be the first day that I actually incorporate pull-ups into my routine, so you guys are seeing it for the first time along with myself. And when it comes to the finishing routine, I do my finishing routine every single day regardless, whether I do arm wrestling on the table or workout at the gym. And this is going to be part of my finishing routine, so as of today, I'm officially going to be doing quite a few pull-ups every single day. First, I'm going to be starting off with overhand grip, and I'm going to be attempting to do full range of motion reps, and I'm going to count as many reps as I can get. That's 5 reps. I'm not going to lie, I probably had more in the tank there, but I don't want to gas myself out for the rest of this, so I'm going to take it easy for day 1. Next up is going to be underhand. I'm going to try for 5 reps. Alright, so there's 5. And next up we've got neutral grip. Now I've got some proper handles that are both the same size on the way, but today this is what I'm working with, so it's gonna have to do. Oh yeah, this is difficult. This is really hard. But if I'm weak in these exercises, I really think it's going to benefit my arm wrestling if I can get decently strong at them. Probably should have did static first, but I'm going to move into static now. I'm going to start with neutral grip to begin. I'd like to get 10 seconds. I don't know if that's a lofty goal or not, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay. 15 seconds, I'll take it. Next up, I'm going to try underhand grip. Oh man. 15 seconds once again. I'm going to try for 15 seconds for overhand, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. And that's 10 seconds for overhand. I really didn't think out the order of this because now I want to try the single-handed variations. I'm going to be horrible at those, but I've got to start somewhere. So I'm going to try neutral grip, and I'm going to hold myself up with my other hand on the bar. I'm going to get myself into position, and then I'm just going to hold on for dear life. I'm probably going to sink as soon as I let go. But the whole point here is to try to get a negative rep on my way down. And I'm going to do these negative reps for this single arm variation every day until I can hold it, is the goal. Oh, God. Wow. All right. That's all I had. It was instant. Well, strangely enough, my left side actually feels stronger for some reason. I'm trying to let go of my left hand and leave my right on, but there's just no way. Oh, gosh. Alright, that's all I got. Pull-ups for today are done. If I can look back at this footage, being able to do all of this one day, I'll be extremely impressed with myself. And of course, back into the finishing routine, everything still exactly the same. Starting off with some wrist curls, 20-pound dumbbells with a fat grip. Looking to get 100 reps on both the right and left. And of course, next up we've got the rising wrist curls. 2.5-pound plate on the end of a dumbbell handle. Looking to get 100 reps on both the right and left. And next up I've got the 8-pound dumbbells for some reverse wrist curls. Doing the right and left at the same time, looking for 100 reps. Next up we've got this dumbbell handle, and I'm going to be spinning it in circles in this rice. Looking to get, I think it's 50 reps clockwise, 50 reps counterclockwise on both the right and left. Next up I've got my 10-pound plate here. Going to be doing 50 supinating reps, 50 pronating reps on both the right and left. Alright, so the wrist work is done. Gonna move on to the thumb, starting off with some reps on this thumb ball. So next up we've got the hand ring, once again, between the thumb and index. Just looking to squeeze it until it touches. Looking for 50 reps on both the right and the left. Next up we're going to do some more thumb reps in the rice for some resistance. Just like this. Looking for 100. And last but not least, probably my favorite exercise, honestly, is going to be pronation reps into the rice and supination reps into the rice. Looking for 100 pronation, looking for 100 supination on both the right and left to wrap up this workout. And so that's going to be another arm wrestling workout video. Slowly making my way through my 12-day split and even adding some things in along the way. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about the new pull-up addition to the finishing routine. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you all for the next workout.